In this video, we are going to talk about how to use Nektion for lean portfolio management as it is described in Scaled Agile Framework, or SAFe. The purpose of lean portfolio management is to respond quickly and with minimal overhead to strategic opportunities. We are covering three topics. First, we are going to talk about how do we connect the portfolio to the enterprise strategy. Second, we talk about how do we finance the portfolio and how do we track that the portfolio is balanced. And then thirdly, we are going to talk about how to prioritize strategically. The portfolio consists of strategic initiatives called epics. In SAFe, the epics map to strategic themes, which are goals that are derived from the enterprise strategy. Strategic themes can be decomposed further to objectives and key results. One way to implement this is there is an objective for each value stream, and in PI planning, the agile release trains come up with PI objectives that represent key results. This way we can track both the strategic intent and the bottom-up execution. A second way to connect the portfolio with your strategy is through so-called investment horizons. Horizon 3 contains the disruptive ideas for profitable growth several years from now. Horizon 2 are the ideas for extending the current business model that generate profits in the next few years. Horizon 1 are the continuous innovation to the core business with typically quick returns. And then finally, Horizon 0 is about investments to retiring products and services. There should be a healthy balance of investments in all the horizons. Now let's turn to how we budget and track spending. In lean portfolio management, this is radically simplified. Rather than financing individual epics, budgets are allocated to value streams. In this example, the budget cycle is synchronized with the program increments, meaning that the budget can change from one PI to another. There is also so-called guardrails that can be set for the budgets. In this example, we have a guardrail on how much of the budget goes to work derived from the portfolio, with the rest going to work that agile release trains can decide on themselves. Now with the budget set, we want to connect it to actual work. To do that, we make a crude story points estimate of the epics to understand the amount of capacity required in the next few program increments. The capacity is also estimated separately for the MVP phase and the preserve phase. When work on an epic is started, the commitment is only to the MVP scope, and when that scope is done, the hypothesis behind the epic is evaluated, and you have the options to preserve with the work, discard the epic, or you can pivot. A key idea is that instead of doing cost accounting of all activities that go into an epic, the story points are converted to spending. The assumption is that agile release trains have relatively stable costs and velocities, in which case the story points are a decent proxy for all the costs. With all these pieces in place, we can compare the value stream budgets to the actual and forecasted investment. We can also calculate the forecasted investment for our strategic themes. Moreover, for each epic we can calculate the forecasted investment as well as how much we have spent. Since the spend is approximated from the historical average cost of a story point, we can actually get our spend figures updated in real time as teams complete work. Here's a team that is using Jira for managing their work, and some of the stories they work on are connected to the epic called Crypto Exchange. Now the spend is 0, but when the team completes one story, the spend is automatically updated. And when the team completes another story, the same thing. We are a bit more ready, a bit closer to the phase where we need to evaluate our MVP. The final piece we are going to talk about is prioritization. Lean portfolio management is a pull system, so epics are not pushed to the agile release trains, rather they are pulled based on the priority order of the epics when there is capacity available. Prioritization often has multiple inputs. SAFe recommends using weighted shortest job first to decide which epics have the biggest bang for the buck. In addition, you want to consider things like dependencies between the epics and how they will impact the balance of the portfolio. For instance, do you have enough things for different strategic themes and investment horizons? And of course, there could be a number of other criteria that are important in your context. This has been a by-the-book example of lean portfolio management. In real-world implementations, there is almost always something to change, sometimes more, sometimes less. The key benefits of using Nektion are that you can tailor lean portfolio management to be just right for your organization. Second, you can experiment with different approaches and learn over time. And third, you can connect through integrations the portfolio with tools used by teams to create both top-down and bottom-up visibility.